Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we are going to talk about the spell Detect Thoughts. We're going to compare and contrast the Legacy version with the 2024 version. We're going to go through what has changed, what has not changed. We're going to grade each. I did give the Legacy version of Detect Thoughts a B back when I originally did this, and we're going to look at some things. And I think there's a typo in the new Detect Thoughts, but we're going to look into that. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, here's a Legacy version of Detect Thoughts, second level spell, one action, range of self, sort of, lasts for a minute, and it required concentration, and there was a wisdom save that was involved. So for the duration, you could read the thoughts of certain creatures when you cast a spell, and as an action on each turn until the spell ends, you can focus your mind on one creature you can see within 30 feet. So there's the range right there, 30 feet. If the creature you chose has an intelligence of 3 or lower or does not speak any languages, it's unaffected. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature, so just right off the bat, no saving throw, you get the surface thoughts. So what is forefront in their brain? As an action, you can either shift your attention to another creature or attempt to go deeper into the same creature. If you go deeper, they get a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, you gain insight into its reasoning, its emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind, such as something it worries over, loves, hates, etc. If it succeeds, it ends either way. It knows that you did it, so you can't hide the fact that you're probing into its mind. And unless you shift your attention to another creature's thoughts, the creature can use this action on its turn to make an intelligence check contested by your intelligence check. If it succeeds, the spell ends. So it'll thrust you out. Questions verbally directed to the creature can naturally shape the course of thought. So you can ask questions while the spell is going, and you may get, if it's lying, or you may get certain answers that come forward in its brain. You can also use this spell to detect the presence of a thinking creature you cannot see. When you cast the spell as your action during the duration, you can search for thoughts within 30 feet. So you cast this web of psionic energy. And it can penetrate through barriers, 2 feet of rock, 2 inches of metal other than lead, or a thin sheet of lead blocks you. So if it's like iron, it's got to be less than 2 inches. You cannot detect a creature with an intelligence of 3 or lower, or one that does not speak any language. Once you detect the presence of a creature in this way, you can read the thoughts for the rest of the duration. So once you don't actually see the creature, but you can start probing its thoughts at that point. Okay. So that's the Legacy version. So let's look at the new version. Still a second level spell, still one action, still a range of self, sort of. Still verbal somatic material, still lasts for a minute, still concentration, still there's a saving throw in here, and it's still divination. So until the spell ends, you can activate either effect with a magic action. This is the new thing that the 2024 has. So before it said you use an action when you cast the spell and as your action. With this one, it is just you use the magic action to cast the spell, and you use the magic action to do other stuff. So they put the sense thoughts thing up front. You can sense the presence of thoughts within 30 feet of you that belong to a creature that know languages or are telepathic. So that is not a typo, but we're going to get to what I think is a typo. You do not read the thoughts, but you know that a thinking creature is present. Okay. However, now this is a change, and this is a nerf to the spell. So before, it was 2 feet of rock, 2 inches of metal. Now it is 1 foot of stone, dirt, or wood. Whereas before, wood didn't block this at all. Now it's 1 foot and 1 inch of metal, or a thin sheet of lead. So 1 inch of steel versus 2 inches of steel or iron. So they nerf that part of the spell. So then there's the read thoughts part. You target a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself, or one creature within 30 feet of yourself that you detected with the sense thoughts option. So that really hasn't changed. You learn what is most on the target's mind right now. So that's no save. You just learn that. If the target, here's where I think this is a typo. If the target does not know any languages and is not telepathic, you learn nothing. I think they meant to say if the target does not know any languages or is not telepathic, you learn nothing, because very few creatures, very few of the targets are going to be telepathic. So let's look at that. Telepathy is a magical ability that allows a creature to communicate mentally with another creature within a specified range. So this says if they do not know a language and they are not telepathic, you learn nothing. That doesn't make any sense to me. That means that you can only use this spell on creatures that know languages and are telepathic. So I think they meant or. I think that's a big typo. So as a magic action on your turn, you can try to probe deeper into the target's mind. So you got to do this read thoughts thing first. That's your action. Or you have to do the sense thought first, then the read thought, and then you probe deeper. If you probe deeper, the target makes a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, you discern the target's reasoning, emotion, and something. And this is the same language as the last spell. On a successful save, the spell ends. Either way, it knows that you did something. And until you shift your attention away from the target's mind, the target can take an action on its turn to make an intelligence arcana check. This is different. So the legacy spell was an intelligence check versus an intelligence check. Now this is an intelligence arcana check against the spell DC. And if they get it, so let's say your spell DC is 16, and they get a 16 on their arcana check, the spell ends. So, and it does cost a copper piece to use, as did this one. So that is a thing. Now, it's not, that copper piece is not, it does have value, but it is not consumed because it says it's not consumed. And again, this is usable by bards, sorcerers, and wizards. Aberrant sorcery, great old one, patron, warlocks, and the Illrigger, which we're not going to talk about. But the big thing in this, I think this is going to get fact if it already hasn't. If you know that this has been changed, please say something in the comments below. But I think that this is a typo. And I think it was meant to say if the target does not know any languages or is not telepathic, you learn nothing. So, because if it isn't telepathic, with this sentence, you learn nothing. I think it's one or the other. So, obviously, if it doesn't know any languages, you learn nothing. All right, so I could be wrong about that, and I could be over-interpreting that, but I think the language that was in the legacy version of the Detect Thoughts is a lot more clear. Intelligence lower than 3, or one that doesn't speak any language, versus this, which is, I don't know why they decided to use the term telepathic, because very few things are telepathic. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody.